And I've been here 4 years working hard. See, I'm sweating, hot, tired, legs hurt, knees hurt, back hurt. And you want your car back. You want to give these jobs to other people so you can pay them less than what you're paying me. You shouldn't have never did that.
The Detroit auto worker is dying on the vine. You can hear her in the streets.
Everybody done stop me.
You can hear him in the bars. This is a UAW joint in Warren, Michigan. Stellantis, the European company that now owns Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler, is laying off 2,500 people at the factory right across the street. Whenever I go to a wake, I like to buy the family a drink.
Everybody that wants one. So what's this mean for people and their bills and everything?
It sucks. What you mean? What it mean? If people got to change their whole dynamic now. This is all fucked up. And they've been there 30 years already. Come on, bro. Is that right? No, that ain't
I mean,
right.
you got all the bills outstanding and all of a sudden it's yanked out.
Nah, it's yanked out.
Michigan is car country, so when an auto plant lays people off, the unemployment train starts to roll downhill. Let me take you back to the beginning of the day. ABC Murray Sprockets has been here on 8 Mile Road more than 50 years.
By the magic of TV. Charlie, it's Bob.
They make gears for the assembly line. If the assembly line isn't churning out cars, then ABC might soon become see you later.
The way the country's going now, are you worried that you won't be the fourth generation?
No, I plan on being the fourth generation. I just hope it doesn't die with me.
Well, where's the hell is work going in this country?
It's going to shame. China.
Tell me how you gauge the economy on 8 Mile Road, Detroit/Warren, Michigan.
I tell you, traditionally around here on 8 Mile, you knew it was busy if you saw the trains running, you saw the hookers out on the street. But you don't see no hookers no more. They don't work this area. And I don't see hardly any trains running over there anymore, Charlie.
Mark Kerneal has been a UAW member for 30 years. He says he'll be okay, but he says the political class has lost the working class.
Every political season, they're here. Kamala's here, Donald's here, and 2 years ago, nobody was here.
Yeah, there was no political pundits here at all, not even in your local cities, city council, either from Detroit or for Warren. You didn't see them until they needed us.
American taxpayers have given Stellantis billions of dollars in cash and incentives, and the Ram truck sells. It was the 2-time truck of the year. In fact, North America is Stellantis' most profitable division on the planet. So why, after a bruising strike last year, where temporary workers finally got a raise and became full-time workers, is the company now kicking them to the curb? I reached out to the CEO, Carlos Tavares, at his Portuguese farm. I wanted to ask Carlos why he gave himself a 50% raise while eating escargot as he's planning to let our cars go. I got nothing. So I went inside the Ram plant here in Warren to find the manager. No one to be found except this dude.
I had reached out to the company for some comment on the layoffs, and I didn't hear back, so I'm here now.
Okay, this is private property. You can't film on here.
Well, it says human resource. Can I get an application?
Nope, this is private property. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, please.
Shift change, working men and women. It isn't easy committing your life to a machine only to have it ripped away. Just listen.
So what's gonna happen?
We all disappear.
Are you angry? Like you get a good contract and then the international corporation?
Everybody angry. Everybody's angry. Own my own home. Couple cars, you know what I mean? I got 4 kids, got a wife, beautiful wife at home. So to see it just all of a sudden disappear, wouldn't you be a little mad about that?
You got kids?
Yep, 3.
You got a kitchen table?
Yes, I do.
You got kids around the kitchen table?
Yes, I do.
Have you scratched out your finances without this job?
Scratched what out?
What are you gonna do? You got kids?
Yes, 2. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you scared?
I'm scared to death.
Just being punched after punch, and it's like, is we ever gonna wake up from this? You know, it's just so hard, you know? It's like you just keep pushing us back.
I caught up with UAW President Shawn Fain. He ain't playing. The taxpayer, the Detroiter, the Michigander, the United States taxpayer has given this company billions, and now they're splitting. What gives?
It's just another decision in the long legacy of corporate greed. I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, it's a quest for the race for the bottom. and it's never enough.
What's going to happen if these go?
Oh no, there's going to be action. I mean, we're not going to sit back. I mean, we have to fight for this.
You got to go. I a little shamed. I don't have any cash. You got $10 so I can get some cigarettes?
Not in my pocket.
Nobody got nothing in their pocket.
Well, there's a new saying in Warren, Michigan. Next car I'm going to get me is a Ford. That's right, a car I can afford.
Right.
On special assignment for NewsNation in Warren, Michigan, I'm Charlie LeDuff. Good luck.
Hey, UAW, to your future. Hey, to your future. Thank you. Cheers.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's the No Bullshit News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff and Karen Dubitz.
It's just it, breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Yeah, we on, bro? There's mold in this cup. Yeah.
That's not good.
Housekeeping. Yeah, so that piece ran on NewsNation yesterday, and Elizabeth Vargas and Chris Cuomo in the morning show today. And before we get into it, let me say, so Stellantis is fucking pissed because Stellantis has got major fucking problems. And they're calling corporate saying, oh, we only laid off 1,100. Okay, so for clarification, Stellantis announced up to 2,500 layoffs. They're insisting it's only 1,100 layoffs. The UAW, meanwhile, says it's over 2,000 with more likely coming. So there you go. Whoever you want to believe.
Well, I mean, are they saying it's 1,100 to date, but they are projecting up to 2,500?
They won't say anything about projecting.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're playing with the narrative.
And then the UAW is telling you, no, it's over
it's
$2,000,
right.
dude. So, you know, there you go.
So they're mad at you, Charlie.
Well, you know
made
what?
Another friend.
What's interesting is that the Wall Street Journal broke a story this morning that Stellantis is expanding their plant in Saltillo, Mexico, and they're going to be building the Ram truck there. So you do your own math. What the fuck?
That's become the American way, Charlie, unfortunately.
Now, Ken and I, we were driving around yesterday, went to Ford's World Headquarters in Dearborn, because this election is about Dearborn, but it's about Ford. It's about cars. It's 1.1 million auto workers in Michigan, right? There's 70,000 adults in Dearborn. You get the math. And we're driving around, and look, I guess everybody came back to work at Ford's World Headquarters till we went in the lot, and it's all the unsold stock. Just
Really?
thousands of cars unsold. Wow. Then we went to Auburn Hills, where Chrysler's world headquarters is. And it's important. You know, the big one off of 75? That is the third largest office complex on planet Earth.
Really?
Yeah, the biggest one is in India. The second one is the Pentagon. And that's the third one. Wow. That's the fucking Pentagon of automobiles. Right? Just, it was like the tombstone. Ghost town. Yeah, it was amazing. And then in their test oval behind it, was all the unsold stock. And then we drove to the Rensen, empty, can't even get a corn dog. Like, that's GM's headquarters. And then we drove out to the Stellantis plant of Jeff that we paid all that money for, and Mac. How many unsold trucks did you figure you saw there, Ken?
1,000 a seat.
Thousands.
Yeah, they're tons. When you drive by there, they're just sitting there collecting
It's so
dust.
embarrassing that they've got like railroad cars that they put up against the fence, so when you're coming down Connor, you can't see.
I know, but that and to prevent, because people would steal those cars. They were just sitting there and they'd drive out the lot and they'd steal them. So,
that is true. They had that big problem, didn't they? So, I mean, this is what we're facing.
Yeah, but think about that, Charlie, as, you know, those things that built America, and especially even Detroit, you know, in terms of the automotive industry. The family's one of the guys that you talk to. He says, I own my own home. I have 2 cars. I've got 4 kids. I've got a wife. I mean, this has been his livelihood.
Yes.
So what's next?
I mean, that's what we're supposed to be talking about. So when I was on the morning show, NewsNation's morning show with Marky, she's real cool. I'm dispirited about all this because, you know, like, we're a voting block. Like, well, what's this block going to vote? And I go, it's not a game show. It's real life, right? And when you actually talk to people, we're dying on the vine. I didn't ask anybody anything about politics.
Mhm.
I wanted to know about their life.
Right.
You know?
But that's the priority, and that's what people don't seem to understand. I mean, people are looking at how to survive. The lady that you talked to that said she had 2 kids or 3 kids, I mean, people are thinking about how to survive. And the uncertainty of it is scary.
And nobody, the thing is,
Nobody cares.
Like the coastal elite, like Washington, the media, right? They've hijacked this election season. It's turned into a game show for them. It's not us anymore. Like right outside, since Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, it's now Wednesday. It's been blocked off with Secret Service because Kamala Harris is doing the game show. You know how much this is costing in Secret Service?
Well, not only that, though, Charlie, you've got Secret Service, you got DPD, I've seen sheriffs, Michigan State Police.
Yep.
I mean, you've got but you also think about the impact that it's having on business because you can't drive down the street, you can't park. We already have an issue with parking.
Yep.
So, I mean, you think about those implications. When you talk about small businesses being important, okay, then you may want to do something where you're not shutting them down for a week.
Pay them for what they lost?
Yeah, and I saw a young lady talk about the shutdown they did, I guess, over on Grand River yesterday. I guess she was at a place and, you know, the lost business that she had because she said it was her busiest day and nobody ever came in, not even to come in and acknowledge her as a business owner. Nothing. Just we shut it all down and you figure it out.
And they're going to pack up tonight and they're back Friday because Trump's going to be doing Cobo or Huntington or TCF or whatever it is. Okay. And then Harris is back Saturday. So we got a whole week of this bullshit. Is anybody running the country?
But the Secret Service dog is gorgeous. That was the best part of it.
handsome.
Other than, I mean,
Handsome,
great looking dog.
Can I vote for that dog?
When he's not sniffing for bombs, he sits there like this.
I know, but he's gorgeous. I'm like, my God. Yeah.
Very regal.
Other than that, it's like, what the hell is this?
So, I'm on Chris. I think they might be doing a town hall here. I don't know. I mean,
that would be cool.
Kamala Harris is in town. Before we go into what happened with Cuomo last night, so she's quote unquote in Detroit at a fancy hotel doing a virtual national town hall where you call in on a podcast, Charlemagne the God, right? Who's based out of Atlanta. So how is this supposed to appeal to Michigan? Or Detroit, like when you're afraid to lay your hands on people.
But you had to submit your questions, I think, through the app. So it wasn't even able to call in. So I believe there was an earlier submission of questions. And then I saw Malachi Barrett mention on Twitter last night that at the event she did on Jefferson, that they made it clear that there'd be no more questions posted to her. So.
What a joke.
And I'd love to know how many of those questions are from Detroiters. I mean, we're just a backdrop. We're just scenery.
Well, you know, when the voice is like this, that's not really the sing-song of the streets of Detroit, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, we're being used as
We're being
usual.
abused.
Used and abused.
We do cars. And everything here spins out of cars.
True.
Whether you got a sneaker shop or a bagel, it spins from the car.
Right.
And we're losing these things by the thousands. And, you know, we do on this show, we like to do some math and these fake job numbers every month, and you look at it and it's like, oh, we created 100,000 jobs. They're all part-time. We lost 400,000 full-time jobs. It's true. It's here. And the Barbies and Kens of, you know, national TV have no clue.
It's like the population numbers. We got 1,500 people. Yeah, but you lost 75,000.
We don't got hookers on 8 Mile no more.
But that should tell you right
there. That tells you everything. And all the cigarette butts are smoked down to the end, right? When it's good times, people throw away a half-smoked cigarette. You never find a half-smoked cigarette. Now you got to give a homeless a whole cigarette because he can't find a half-smoked cigarette. It affects us all. It's just right downhill.
But Charlie, most people don't understand just how challenging it is for so many people.
Exactly.
People are struggling.
I mean,
really, they are. They really
they're scared.
Are. Yeah, and they are, and rightfully so.
Well, you know what it is, Karen. They don't want to work.
Yeah.
They don't want to. Well, that's what Geraldo was saying last night. So, I lived it. I haven't seen it. Did you manage to find that, Mark?
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, let's have a listen to that.
So if you want to take Detroit or Michigan, you might want to put your hands on the people of Michigan. So I don't think this election comes down to the undecideds. Everybody's decided. It's if somebody screws up enough that gets you to get up and go cast a vote you weren't planning to vote. That's what's going to come to a Michigan.
Grievance election, Geraldo. Last word to you. Listening to what Rob said about how black men, and you had been talking about Latino men, what is the chance that they don't care what Trump says? They care about what the net effect of what the policies were on his watch versus now, and it's hold the nose time. The policies were better then.
But having covered this for half a century, these Latino men, these strivers who are coming in, they're not coming for so-called black jobs. Black men don't want those jobs. Black men don't want to work in kitchens. They don't want to work mowing lawns with those blowers. They don't want to be poultry processors and meat packers. They want real jobs. Black men want jobs in society where they can be upwardly mobile. So I disagree. It is because of propaganda. It is because of the constant the Biden administration, the Harris Biden administration blew the border. They blew the border. They did a terrible job on the border.
Geraldo, do you know what chicken processing in 1985 was paying in today's dollars $31 an hour? Yeah. Today it's $16.50. $16.50 in today's money, which was $32 when Hormel went on strike in 85. That's the deal. We're all competing for the bottom.
When you go around to the Hormel plant, you tell me who you see. Tell me who you see.
Let me make a point here.
Hold on. Let Rob get in. Let Rob get in.
Let me make a point. It's not that black men don't want to do those jobs that you deem as menial, Geraldo, in your words, not anybody else's. They will not do those jobs for the subpar wages that are paid to illegal immigrants.
My landscaper is black.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And he owns a company. But, I mean, that was not a very intelligent statement to make.
You know what it is? I mean, he's a good dude. He really is a good dude. I like Geraldo. But it's clueless because you never worked those jobs. The fact of the matter, to make it clear, because the audio was shit, is meat packers. Remember, I worked in a meat packing plant. I worked in a cannery. Yeah, they're all Latino, and they pay $16.50 an hour. And all the non-citizens working there in Iowa have gotten laid off. They make 17. They're moving to Tennessee and they're hiring the new migrants for $16.50. See, back in 1985, that job, the Green Bay Packers. A packer is someone that works in a slaughtering house. Back in 1985, you were getting $10.50 an hour. Adjusted for inflation, it's $32 an hour plus benefits. We were eating bacon in 1985. At the same time, the price of bacon, while the wages fallen in half, the price of bacon has gone up 20% in that time. So how much profit is enough, right? That's it. Strivers, no, man, you got to get in line. And like Rob was rightly saying, I worked in them. That's not beneath me.
Yeah, I don't think people think it's beneath them, but people want to be treated fairly. I mean, and that was something else that came out, during COVID. People are like, wait a minute, I mean, I'm not an important enough worker to be treated fairly and paid and compensated fairly. I mean, that came to the forefront.
Pay me, okay. Why does everybody come up here and work? Because again, if you know the culture of the border and everything, and you've been to Central America as I have, you will realize these aren't refugees. This is an asylum. This is house envy down in Honduras, right? Joaquin came up here, made a lot of money, and he's building himself a mansion. Now the whole village sees it and they come up. And then everybody retires in 10, 15, 20 years, unless you really end up liking this place. So imagine being able to go to Canada and make $200 an hour. Shoveling horse shit with your bare hands, you would do it, and you would live in a house with 30 guys. It'd be a working holiday to make my fortune. This is the truth. I would do it. I'm not blaming anybody. You allowed him to do it. Does the country need immigrants? Of course. Because we get a little bit stale. We need an injection of culture, of life, of vigor, of strength.
Competition.
You know what I mean? We do. But this bum rush is fucked up, and for the elites to be saying that, we don't want to work. I'll tell you how we want to work. You pay us. Have you ever been in an auto plant? It's back-breaking work. Levers and stooping, and your knees give out and your feet go flat. We want those jobs. Those jobs pay. And now, everybody talks about Trump and the tariffs. Forget the Chinese for a minute. Our own companies did this to us. The America, Apple, Ford, GM,
Stellantis,
Chrysler. You offshored it, went in search of cheap labor, brought it back here, and charged us the same price. So how long are we supposed to be able to afford these cars?
But again, Charlie, that's become the American way. It's all about profit over people. I mean, it is. I mean, I understand capitalism. I get it. But at the same time, we're doing it at the expense of the people that we once depended on.
That's right. And speaking of money, let me tell you about Luke Nowacki. He reminds you, like, politicians might lie to you. The media might lie to you. Are your financial statements lying to you? Do you know your money guy? Do you have a money guy? And if you have a money guy, do you know the money guy? And do you have his personal cell phone? When something's going up and down, what do I do? Does your money man explain how money works? Does he explain to you interest rates? Does he tell you how that affects your annuities, your college savings plans? Because there's a lot of nuance in there, right? You put some money away for your kid and you put it into a 529. 529 is an education savings plan. You can put it in something safe, bonds or some stocks, 50-50, whatever. Anything that appreciates is tax-free and goes to your kid's college. And if there's anything left over when your kid's 31, that turns into their 401k. Stuff like that your money man isn't telling you. So,
and looking at a Roth IRA.
Yes. What is a Roth IRA?
I'm not a financial person. Call Luke and ask him.
A Roth IRA is you pay taxes up front, then you put it in the market, and then when you retire and it's time, you don't get taxed on the gains when you retire.
Okay, then why'd you ask me?
Because
he likes to quiz people.
I know he does.
And I need to give you a number, Karen. I mean, this is something you should know. Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748. Let Luke worry so you don't have to. Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748. And of course, Archangel Senior Management. If you're an entrepreneur looking for a safe and socially responsible real estate investment, this is it. It's senior living. It's one of the fastest growing markets in America, and it's the antithesis to cold corporate nursing homes. Basically, Archangel has formed a partnership with a nursing school and Majestic Residences, which is a home-based assisted living franchise system. You getting it? So you invest in this partnership. You get authentic caregivers with the tools and training necessary to manage small, livable homes within neighborhoods, like human living. And Archangel investors are involved in that real estate, and they get a return, and you can feel secure in both your investment because it's something cool and the care that's being provided. The care is genuine, the owners are local, and Archangel has Overwatch. If interested in this trailblazing opportunity, contact Archangel at 989-614-0416, and I am planning to be honest with you.
It's an investment in our seniors,
yeah,
which we as a country don't do. I was driving past the cemetery, and I said, people show up for your funeral. They spend a ton of money on funerals, but they won't care for you as you're aging, like other countries. If you're in, Japan and it's like, where's that disconnect? We talk about how important our family members are, but that aging gap is,
yeah,
I don't know.
I got some big news on that. So follow me on X, Charlie LeDuff. I'll drop it tomorrow. It's going to send reverbs, through this state in this election. It's big, and it's got to do with seniors and the way we're treating them, right? And who's looking out for them. Also, we had transferred. What do you call Spotify? Is it our carrier?
Yeah, it's our platform.
Our platform.
Yeah.
So we switched over to there, and then the tens of thousands of subscribers on iTunes vaporized because of
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
They've been asking, Charlie.
They are. So do we post on Facebook anymore?
Yes, we do now.
And you remember a long time ago I said fuck Zuckerberg, but some people like Zuckerberg, so it's back up there, right?
It is, yeah.
Under Charlie LeDuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
so spread it around, share the word to everybody.
Yeah, so go back, do me a favor,
share.
go back to iTunes and resubscribe. Yeah. That's why you're not getting notified, because you're not on the list anymore. But
we like to make it hard.
We don't even tell people, but it goes by the thousands a week. People figure it out. But if you're seeing this on Twitter and you just want the audio, that's what you do. what you'll also see on Twitter is breaking news fake alert, more media hoax.
I'm going to add it in post.
Okay. We lost that one too, didn't we?
No, people heard it.
So it was last week, Donald Trump was talking to the Detroit Economic Club. He spoke for 7,380 seconds, 2 hours and 5 minutes. And the media, the fake media, just sat and waited. And in the 58th minute, what Trump was talking about was these international trade deals, Apple, GM, Stellantis offshoring, then the Chinese coming in and dumping steel. And he's like, if you don't want to put the factory in America, I'll hit you with a tariff. And then that way, with your slave wages that you're paying in the third world, $3 an hour max for the Mexican auto worker, right? That if you continue to do that, we're going to slap a 100% tariff on you and then we're going to compete. Everybody seems to think this lasts forever. And, shopping at Walmart would be like shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue. That's not the point here. It's interesting. All of a sudden, everybody knows economics. But so they waited, and it was a bumptious blowhard in town that started it. The sort of dude that thinks his colonoscopy video is good stuff for Twitter. Swear to God, do you? So, but this is what got pulled out.
You want to know the truth? It'll be like Detroit. Our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president.
Ooh, Trump's dogging on Detroit. Wasn't it just a decade ago we were bankrupt?
And Charlie, but it fed two things. You talked about how long his speech was. You got to look at the audience that he's speaking to, the fact that they clapped throughout his speech in that entire time. And it fuels that, what am I going to call it? Fake, help me here, Mark. What is it?
Fake news.
Fake news, but that fake Detroit pride that all these people that don't,
Yeah.
The people that buy a T-shirt.
The T-shirt people, the Tiger game people, the, hey, show me 8 Mile people, that whole thing.
Right. Well, just let's give a little, and we'll show that commercial they play. We have a little clip, just the context of what he was talking about.
So we will build this policy, and it's called Build It in America plan. It's Build It in America because when foreign leaders and CEOs call me up to complain about our tariffs, my answer will be very simple. Build it in America. You don't have any tariffs. Build it right here in Detroit. You don't have any tariffs. Build it in Dearborn or Lansing or Grand Rapids or Flint.
I don't know. I don't know. So let me tell you how this plays out. Okay, so, Duggan's doing his tantrum tweet. We got the Lions and... Okay, Mayor Mike Duggan. Detroit just hosted the largest NFL draft in history. The Tigers are back in the playoffs. The Lions are headed to the Super Bowl. Crime is down, and our population's growing. Lots of cities should be like Detroit, and we did it all without Trump's help. Well, let's fact check this, because I love Detroit, and I spend every waking hour trying to be of service to it. Put that back up so I can see it. I'll go, crime is down. I'm going to put it generously. You're massaging these numbers. You're backing out dozens of homicides and calling them justifiable. They're still homicides. There aren't responses. Arrests are down by half since bankruptcy, dude. Half. You're not responding to crime. A Sergeant Moss, I knew him. He's a SWAT instructor, right? He unfortunately committed suicide by cop. He called 911 and special response came, and it's sad. But I want to advocate for those men and women in blue in this town that do a very hard job. Mm-hmm. Moss injured his back on the job, and it was debilitating, and he couldn't work. And he wasn't on the right side of the establishment in City Hall, and they're going to forcibly retire him. So he couldn't work. Well, here's the thing. Since the bankruptcy, no cop that retires gets the medical that he was promised when he started the job. So now the guy gave his life and his career to this in service of this city. You're going to throw him on the garbage heap. He can't work. What's he going to do? Security and standard? That doesn't pay health care. That's what happened. No thanks to you, Mike, because you blew all the money. What else we got up there?
But Charlie, hold on. Don't skip past that.
All right.
I mean, I want that to resonate with people for a second, because that's the human interest side of the financial implications of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
He suffered an injury serving the city.
Yes.
I mean, so connect those dots there.
Yeah,
and for being forced to retire, you have no medical and you have a debilitating injury.
And look at the sadness of his death. Look what it does to your mind. That's beyond anxiety. So rest in peace. And my thoughts are with, the officers that had to respond to that. I mean, really. All right. Population's growing. Maybe. I mean, Duggan called them the Census Bureau clowns when they kept, right, estimating the population's being lost. What was it? This was like about 1,500 people. It's growing. Yeah. It makes the front page of the New York, 1,500 people. Well, what you don't tell people is it's all the illegal immigrants being resettled here. So, take them out and it's shrinking, dude. Also, revenue, tax dollars, adjusted for inflation, are less now than they were in the year of the bankruptcy. That is remarkable. That tells you what an oligopoly this is and who's getting a hand and who's getting what, because it ain't the cops and it ain't the people in the neighborhood and it sure ain't the school kids, because that's one of the worst functioning, least achieving school districts in the United States. And we have the highest property taxes of any urban center in America. So tell me, when you guys want to cherry pick shit and national media comes to me and goes, well, who's speaking to the auto work? I'm like, at least Trump has a command of it. I didn't say I'm voting for him. There's a lot. His people are afraid of me. You know what I mean? Because his people used to advise Tudor Dixon, and Tudor Dixon came on the show and by herself expressed her position on abortion. I didn't lead her into it.
Not your fault.
Not my fault, right? Nothing tricky was going on there. So
she did that herself.
I would ask you, sir, about January 6th. I don't know who is responsible for the National Guard not showing up or whatever. My question for you would be, what took you so long to respond? Why didn't you tell people to go home right away? Another question would be, we're going to round up these criminal illegals and ship them home. Well, we don't have a relationship with Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, China, Russia. So you round them up. Where are you going to put them, dude?
Yeah.
Are you going to land an amphibious assault on the shores of Venezuela and just dump them off and, maybe like Biden create a floating pier that they can, I mean, please. And then again, there's the runaway spending and you talk to the economic community, numbers don't add up. It's just a huge, huge hole in the budget, which you did the last time around, excepting for COVID. You were spending $1 trillion in deficit. So that's what I would ask you. And then I'd let you go off and, so he's not afraid of anybody, but his people are afraid of me. And the Democrats are a bunch of pussies. You know what I mean? No, like a cat.
I know. I was just thinking about the last time. That's all. I was just like,
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Fix that in post. Yeah.
But let me say this, Charlie. This is when you highlight those inaccuracies, we'll call them. That's not dogging the city. That's not kicking it. Those are facts. And people are so comfortable and I think they're so anxious to feel good about something that they don't want to know the truth about anything or anybody.
Right.
And so they see it as being an attack or they seeing it as being critical. No, if you're going to make a decision on somebody or on something, make it rooted in fact.
That would require work. Now, because we're talking about the media now, right? It's just easier to run with it. You don't have to check anything. Have you ever turned on local TV news and they're checking the revenues?
No.
Or when's the last time you heard that police lost their health care?
Nope.
In the bankruptcy. Our force is two different. There's nothing in the middle. Our force is very young people, 5 years or less, right? At least half. And then we got this cadre of 60-some-year-old guys waddling around because they're trying to make it to Medicare.
But I saw where I guess they were trying to encourage recruitment, and the new hires are offered a higher salary than those with X number of years on the job. So, that's, I mean, if I've been working all these years and you got somebody that comes in and they're making far more than I am, that doesn't make me feel respected or valued.
I will make it, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, I saw
right?
it was on Twitter. They had a
Well, there you go. Well, then it's true.
It's true. I like Twitter, Charlie. But the Detroit Police Department posted a graphic, and it had the salaries for incoming officers.
Right.
So
I'll check that out because that's worth knowing. I mean, we just wrap with this. Remember, watch this program and then come up on Twitter tomorrow and see what I got for you. But just speaking of it, we covered pretty thoroughly the Samantha Wall's murder case, the young Jewish, she's 40, but, the Jewish leader here in Detroit. And, she was stabbed to death in her condo, what was it, townhouse?
Yeah. Townhouse.
Right, in the city of Lafayette Park here, 3 times in the back of the head. So, and eventually the guy that the police and the prosecutor bring to trial is Michael Jackson Bolanos, a car thief, and they followed him around all night, right? They saw a murky figure at 4:20 in the morning. They Jesse Smollett him and found this guy, and he was a good find because there was her blood on his jacket, a couple drops, and it turns out his girlfriend ended up washing that jacket, but and he was in and around that area. They could tell by his phone, but there was no video of him at the alleged time of the murder. Okay. So it's a good one. He gets acquitted of first-degree murder, and the jurors are hung for felony murder and home invasion. And they're hung in his favor. Something like 8-3 or 8-4, 9-3. We'd had his lawyer on. It was something like that. But now we get the rewrite from Fox 2, right? And the reporter here, I never saw her in the courtroom. Might have been, but I never saw her there. And so we're getting the redo where she's saying, and the family's claiming, and it's insinuated that the cops got the right guy and that somebody blew it, like the jurors. The jury of our peers blew it somehow. The ones that sat there every day for 6 weeks. There was also, what was weird about this was Samantha Wall's ex-boyfriend. She broke up with him. He had shrines of pictures of her in his apartment. She had none of him, right? And he was granted immunity. Okay, wait, first of all, so we good so far? Good enough?
I think that's
all right.
Recap.
So they never search his place. They don't get a warrant until 3 weeks later, after he goes to Kalamazoo 3 weeks later and makes a 911 call. And this is what the 911 call, this is him.
The jury was stuck on Samantha's ex-boyfriend. That's him, Jeffrey Herbsman, calling 911 from a West Michigan hotel parking lot because he claimed he was having a panic attack brought on by a double dose of Auvelity, a major depression drug, and 4 hits of pot.
Do you have any weapons or anything on you? No. Okay. There's a knife in the car. Okay. Like a pocket knife or what's your name?
Panic attacks is one of Auvelity's side effects, but could it cause this convoluted confession?
Convinced that I may have murdered my girlfriend and I don't remember it.
Where's your girlfriend stay at?
She lives in Detroit.
Okay. What makes you think that you killed her?
Because I have the motive and I have the opportunity.
What did you say?
I may be trying to outsmart people.
Detroit Detroit police had already questioned Herbstman shortly after Samantha's murder, but investigators heard that bizarre confession and headed straight to Kalamazoo to question the ex. They also searched for evidence everywhere inside and outside his Detroit house, including the fire pit, surrounding cameras, and his phone.
Okay, first of all, they searched this place 3 weeks later. Had you been at trial, you would have known that they never searched the fire pit. Like maybe, I don't know, evidence there, burned clothes, whatever. I mean, possibly. I'm not saying he did it.
Anything, yeah.
Right? That they didn't check for cameras in the back of this guy's residence. Right? You would know that. It's a major depressant. It causes anxiety. A double dose is going to lead. Let's say I took 3 of these, had a couple of cocktails, smoked a blunt. Do you think I'd be calling the FBI confessing to Hoffa?
No.
What the fuck is this? Okay. What else do we got there, Mark?
You'd be feeling pretty good, though.
Yeah.
I was just reading about the medication. It's pretty strong.
Yeah. Does it say that it causes
It does not
hallucinations?
say. That's exactly what I was looking up, Charlie. And on the side effects that I see, there's nothing about hallucinations.
What is the drug prescribed for?
Depression. It's a combination basically of Robitussin and Wellbutrin, which is a pretty well-known antidepressant. Pretty common too. So I don't see a bunch of people walking around having hallucinations
Or
all the time.
making calls, confessing
No,
murders.
it's weird.
What's the next one we got here, Mark, to put this in order?
Well, if you want to hear from the lead detective as to why they brought in Jeffrey Herbstman into the trial, which they kind of had to because of that phone call. I mean, he opened it up, which he kind of opened up the first reasonable doubt.
You're right.
As to, whether or not Michael Jackson Bolanos committed the crime.
And it's important to say they gave him use immunity.
Right.
Yes.
He comes in, he testifies, it can't be used against him.
Really odd.
Why? Okay, so the guy says, I didn't do it, I just took some meds and had an episode. Why would you need immunity?
Which was unheard of. When we heard from the lawyer, it's saying that was highly unusual to be granted immunity.
Okay, and I was talking with Dateline, had lunch with the Dateline Report the other day. This guy we're about to hear from, who's this guy? He wasn't the lead investigator, back when this thing went down.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the authorities are presenting. Oh, by the way, this is on appeal. So why are the authorities presenting anybody to speak to a TV camera?
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, here he is.
For the first time, we are hearing from Detroit Police lead investigator on the case, Lieutenant Matthew Bray, who tells me this man captured on surveillance was running away toward the park. They checked every camera in the area and never spotted that person again.
Why was he so important to the trial, though, if he didn't do it and he sort of confessed and he had some mental issues? I mean, why even bring him into it?
So it's important for us to demonstrate to the jury why we know and why we believe him not to be the person involved in this incident. To exclude that information would leave a gaping question for the jury.
But he wasn't the one being charged.
But the defense would have brought that confession in, so the prosecutors know, he's gonna have to say something.
Yeah, they're trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah. And so why do you give him immunity? Because he insists on immunity. You didn't do anything, dude.
If he didn't, then why would he need it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what the piece was referring to was there was a murky Sasquatch picture of what looks to be a white dude with a George Michael haircut, dark glasses, and a dark jacket running through Lafayette Park at 1:24 in the morning when her sensor also went off. See, from 12:30
her
to
her alarm sensor.
Yeah.
Okay.
From 12:30 to 1:30 it was on. I mean, there was a lot of movement in there, right? So you come in, it trips. It's like your Ring camera. You can set it, right? It trips and it resets, right? It resets once there's no motion, right? There's a time frame. So her stays on for an hour. Then this other guy, Michael Jackson Bolanos, the guy that was moonwalking around town and breaking into cars, it's alleged he comes in at 4:20 and then the sensor resets at 4:22, but it takes two minutes to reset. So he's got 1 second to commit a crime, and then we're going to see it later, and then run towards the light and people after he allegedly stabbed everybody. But I get ahead of myself. This guy on the left, murky, grainy, Looks like George Michael, the 80s guy. On the right is the boyfriend, Jeffrey, with the same, very similar indeed, haircut, dark glasses, black jacket, right? Now, according to what you just heard from Fox 2, the police checked every camera, right? Is that what we heard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were chasing Michael Jackson Bolanos around, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, he's bad, man. He's bad. But why didn't you check this other dude out earlier in the night? You know what I mean? That looks a lot like one of the suspects in the case. Well, had you been in court, you'd realize the cops never did check on the white guy. Let's play those clips if we got them.
From the stand?
Yeah, both the two officers.
Yep.
The
This
two
first one's
detectives.
the video technician.
Well, you don't have to go there.
Okay.
It's just one. There's two detectives working the video. This is detective one.
So you did not.
No.
You were
the
not
other
tasked
guy.
with
The other guy.
And as
I
far
did
as
not go to that
extracting-
location.
Okay, you got
We had
both
a
play.
team
All
that
right,
worked
fix it
on
in
this.
post.
And if there was video, I'm very confident I would have seen it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Of the white guy.
not seen any video from there.
And since you have a team, since this being a very important individual who is running at 124, surely you would have discussed this with your team, whether or not this video was available to be extracted from Lafayette, correct?
Absolutely.
And as far as you remember, no conversation was had between you and your team, correct?
No, it was had. It was had. We need the video. We need to continue this pushing eastbound.
Okay, but I'm not asking the conversation of whether or not you need video. I'm talking specifically whether or not a conversation was had on we need video from 1301 Orleans, aka the Lafayette Park Towers.
Yes.
That conversation was not had.
The conversation was had. I recall Steve Ford, Sergeant Steve Ford, talking about that building, and there was no video available to be recovered.
Okay, that's the cop who was responsible for chasing Michael Jackson down all night with the video, right? Now this other guy was supposed to chase the white guy down, according to that last detective. So here's Sergeant Ford speaking.
So you were not tasked with extracting video from 1301 Orleans, better known as Lafayette Towers, in an attempt to find out where this individual ran. Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So just to be clear, if Sergeant Sullivan testified under oath in that very same chair and told the jury that in fact you were tasked with extracting video from Lafayette Towers in an attempt to find this individual, that'd be false?
He was mistaken, yes.
Oh, what a contradiction. A major contradiction.
They're both going like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the public told? What do we lead? They checked
everything. Yeah.
Now that murky George Michael looking Sasquatchy figure didn't have a phone on him, so they couldn't triangulate him, right? Okay, well, I mean, it doesn't take a data analyst with a PhD in applied physics to know to leave your phone at home if you're going to go do a crime.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, Jeffrey, the boyfriend, is a data analyst with a PhD in applied physics. Know what I mean? It don't take a genius. The jury saw this. Somehow, the jury fucked up. The jury didn't fuck up. The police fucked up. The prosecutor fucked up. And the reporters fucked up. And there's no justice for this woman. Now, let's go to we got one more, right?
Yeah, about the timeline?
Yeah, let's do the timeline. This is apparently Michael Jackson committing his murder in 1 second and then running towards the light of Greektown Casino Garage where a bunch of people are picketing.
And cameras. You got the casino was full of cameras and security.
Yes.
So, okay.
The prosecution claims at 4:20 a.m. he enters, startling Samantha from her sleep on the couch. They struggle. He panics and grabs a knife, stabs her 8 times, mainly in the back of her head and neck, as if she's trying to get away. The next time we see Jackson Bolanos on video is 4:23 a.m. in front of the Greektown Casino.
I was in that area. I did not hear nothing. I did not see nothing out the room. I see security and got the
ADT testified the motion detector was triggered at 4:20 and stayed in idle mode until 4:22, giving Jackson Bolanos 2 minutes to stab his victim and 1 minute and 25 seconds to reach the corner of Chrysler and Monroe, about a quarter mile away. Police tested the route from that night at different speeds and learned walking and running, like the suspect was seen doing that night, took the same amount of time.
So wait a minute. But it takes 2 minutes for the person they talked to from the alarm company said that it has to be idle for 2 minutes before it resets.
Yeah, it's all nomenclature, right? It's like it triggers, it's on. Once it doesn't detect motion, it resets.
Right, but it has to be idle, no motion for 2 minutes before it resets. So those 2 minutes that she referenced, there was no motion.
That's one of the big questions here, right?
Okay.
So when the ADT, by the way, the ADT, the expert, he wasn't an expert. He was conflicting. He's like, well, it's 2 minutes, it's 3 minutes. No, man, what is it exactly? Mm-hmm. Why is there no seconds on these records?
All I know is I'm a very slow runner. You wouldn't guess it by looking at me, but me running or jogging is still faster than me walking. So how is it the same time walking and running?
They discovered that if I ran or I walked, it took me the same amount of time.
I don't get that.
Maybe it's a treadmill. Okay, so
and they wonder why there's questions.
Right. Now here's the other thing. If you really want to, about a quarter mile away, 0.25 of a mile, right? It's actually 0.38 of a mile. It's over a third of a mile. Wow. That's 2 more football fields. That's a big deal. When, being in court, when the cop testified, yeah, I ran it. It took me about a minute from her door to the camera at Greektown. It took you about a minute. You're a 3-minute miler? Wow. What the fuck?
Is he Kenyan?
It's just like Usain Bolt on roids, dude. Like,
that's crazy. That's unrealistic.
Nobody bothered to measure the distance. All of this matters. And again, I wouldn't want to be on the jury, but I could. The jury did the right thing. There's definitely reasonable doubt. Sullivan, the guy that did the Michael Jackson video, did a 100% aces job. That's an amazing suspect.
Yeah, tracking them all that way. Yeah.
All the way, and we found the blood on your jaw. Come on.
He was there.
And he says he was there and he touched the woman. Yeah. Right? But I didn't go in the house. I didn't go in the apartment with the door open, even though I was breaking into stuff all night. And the sensor just kind of went off. Oh, it was her getting up 3 hours later. After being stabbed 8 times, she miraculously got up as I was turning the corner, and then she collapsed, and I went to check her out, and she was cold and clammy, except she had just collapsed. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying here?
Awful.
Man, this isn't rocket science, but there's no this is what we get around here.
But you understand. I mean, her family wants justice.
Sure,
I want justice for them.
But and I understand that, and so I don't want any of this to take away from the fact that they want closure. They want to find out who did this to their loved one. I get it, but at the same time, you can't just create a guilty party. It doesn't happen like that. That's just not how it works. That's not how it should work.
I watched my mom suffer the same thing with my sister, and it took a lot of calls. I had to come back from New York, and it took months, and they went and got the dude in Florida, and he got 2 years. Mm-hmm. But my mom forgives him.
Right.
But there was some kind of closure that I know what the family's going through, and I'm sorry if you guys are mad. I'm sorry, but this kind of journalism isn't serving the city. Like, obviously, the prosecutor's office is a fucking mess. No one gets immunity like that, right? During the hearing, the HVAC, the air conditioning, is broken in the courthouse, so they had to bring a plug-in, like a railroad car size thing, and that went out. Oh, and the weeds in front of the courthouse were like knee high, and they had stopped doing pest control, and there were rats running around the courthouse. And I'm talking to the ladies in victim services, domestic violence, sexual assault, homicide. They all got like hundreds of cases and they're paid less than $20 an hour and they were all leaving. And you're telling me this is a comeback.
That's what I was going to say, but Detroit is back. We had 750,000 people visit, Charlie.
Yeah, it was awesome, though. That was awesome.
Cool, yeah.
And big props to the cops on that one. Yeah. And props to everybody from around here that, didn't cause trouble, didn't hurt each other.
Good time.
Within that footprint. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Within that footprint. I'm going to leave it at that.
You know what I learned from the NFL draft?
What?
About Dallas Cowboy fans? That they're all circumcised.
Charlie.
You know why?
I don't want to know.
Why? I'll bite. Why?
So they got a place to put their chew while they're brushing their teeth. Yeah.
I'm plugging my headphones on that one. All I'm saying is that stop hanging your coat on stuff that has no value. It has no substance. It doesn't mean anything to the people who are losing their jobs. It doesn't mean anything to the kids who can't read. It doesn't mean anything to the people who still feel unsafe in this city. It just or to the police officers who protect the people who don't have the protection that they deserve. I mean, 750,000 people coming in to visit for a game is great, but then they all went home.
Yeah, but before they went home, like somebody at the Coney here flushed the fucking jersey down the toilet and clogged the pipes.
Nice.
Now, I had to roto-rooter it out, right? Just grind it up. But I'm pretty sure it was a Titans fan. I never saw the jersey, but I'm pretty sure it was a Tennessee Titan fan. You know why?
Why?
Because that's where they do their laundry anyway. Let's go Lions!
And on that note,
everybody's walking around with those.
That one.
Everyone was walking around with those fake Packer jerseys.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not from Green Bay, and they go, "How'd you know?" I go, "You don't have a cold sore." Oh, let's go Lions! Let's go Lions!
Is this the stand?
No more fake news.
Yeah, this is the stand-up at the end of the show.
Oh man, all the Niners fans, they were bummed.
Why?
Because we had run out of Chablis. Oh, let's go Lions!
And he's back next week, guys.
Subscribe, give us a like, do all of that, and check out Twitter tomorrow. I'll see you next week, Karen.
Yes, sir.
Bye.